Jets, I hear them say it now.
Jet, white, green, just green and white. Tell me, have you ever seen a team take flight? Super Bowl dreams are still in sight. All we gotta do is win tonight. White, green, just green and white. Tell me, have you ever seen a team take flight? Super Bowl dreams are still in sight. All we gotta do is win.
What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another video. As always, your host, Joe Skirdo, aka Turn Up the Jets. Quick video about David Bakhtiari, the former Green Bay Packers left tackle. Have a lot to talk about him. He got a pretty massive update in regards to his knee recovery. The Jets are in day 2 at OTAs. Today marks the first day that media has access. We've seen Robert Saleh in the podium. Jeff Albrecht, as we speak, as I'm making this video, is also in the podium. Aaron Rodgers seemingly looked really good today. I believe he was like 13 for 15 for 3 touchdowns. I know those stats, you just really take with a grain of salt. It's stats with no pads and really no contact. But in a physical standpoint, it's a pretty big update that Aaron Rodgers looked really good. We knew his arm was going to be what it has been his entire career. You don't just lose that in a year. But the fact that his physicality, his Achilles, all of that good stuff is holding, and he looks like Aaron Rodgers. I mean, we got to be happy. We got to get, we got to have something to, get us happy as Jets fans, because usually when we have good things, it goes to shit. So we'll enjoy it while it lasts. Aaron Rodgers looked good, and a couple updates. AVT, Mike Williams, they're not there. They're kind of on the side, rather, recovering from the injuries. Morgan Moses as well. Breece Hall was not there today. Quinton Williams was not there today, kind of noting 2 stars that, it is optional, so it's nothing really to get worried about. But essentially 90% of the Jets 53-man roster, seemingly what the 53-man roster will look like, was in attendance for day 2 in OTAs. But yes, David Bakhtiari, the name of this video, that's who we're going to be focusing on. So coming off a knee injury, got an update, got a very encouraging update that he is in the right track to his recovery. And it seems like he's going to be available to play in 2024. Yes, he is a free agent. He does not have a team yet. The Packers released him a couple months ago. This is the guy we're talking about who was a 3-time Pro Bowler, a 2-time All-Pro, a multiple-time second-team All-Pro. This is one of the guys who were one of the better tackles in the NFL for a very long time, blocking for, of course, Aaron Rodgers. Doesn't have a home right now, but I really expect him to have one pretty soon. Of course, the injuries have been just riddling him year in, year out, especially over the last 3 years. Only 13 games played, a whopping 1 last year. And I believe in 2021 also 1, and then 2022 he played 11 games, and that was Aaron Rodgers' last season on the Green Bay Packers. So it's going to be this is an interesting act, because we all thought and tied Bakhtiari to the Jets because of Aaron Rodgers. They're seemingly best friends. They've been best friends for a very long time, have that relationship. But now with the Jets, of how their offensive line has turned out from the end of the season till now, it is just night and day, really. So for me before, I really could have cared less with Bakhtiari because they had bigger needs. They needed more stability in those positions. But I'm all ears and I'm all in regards to taking him as a depth piece in this offensive line room. You already got guys like Tyron Smith, Morgan Moses to really help seemingly develop and teach Olu Fashanu the ropes of what it takes to be a legitimate offensive line in this league. This would just add another veteran, another voice. And if you had to play him, you're not panicking. This isn't a guy you called up the practice squad and threw him in the lineup like the Jets had to do numerous times last year. This is a legitimate Pro Bowler, and I would say the less games and really the less games and wear and tear that he has to deal with on a daily basis, the more likely he's going to stay healthy, especially with the update that knee looks like it's going to be intact. It's going to be healthy enough for him to compete in 2024. I would not be surprised if the Jets go ahead and say, screw it, let's add more depth. You can never get enough depth in regards to the offensive line. I think it would be a great piece, again, in the leadership standpoint. And then if you had to throw him in there, you're not scared out of your mind, because if he's healthy, he's going to put up productive numbers. It's just what he's done his entire career. He has a feel for the offense already. Of course, Nathaniel Hackett being there, Rodgers being there. It doesn't look like the transition would be anything crazy. And a big personality. And I think his personality would honestly fit very well in New York. I know he's not going to like the turf in MetLife because it's probably the worst in the NFL. And he's been one of the biggest voices in terms of just saying that every NFL field should have grass. We all agree with him, but it's just a money grab in regards to those rich owners. But I don't think he wouldn't not go to New York because of the turf, especially being in that role, that like a limited role, but also a very valuable role, because offensive linemen get hurt. We talk about it all the time. And I just believe the Jets should actually make this move. And I think maybe they waited a little bit just to see, where he is in his process. But the news coming out today that, obviously encouraging, seems like he's going to be good to go in the 2024 season. And I won't be surprised if a team grabs him before training camp. That's kind of what I expect. The Jets in the OTA period right now, this would be a perfect time to check in and see what he's thinking, see what his, wishes are in regards to where he wants to play. I would be absolutely shocked that he wouldn't have interest in the Jets because, his buddy is there. And the Jets really haven't done a lot of Aaron Rodgers scouting moves this year. They kind of went away from that. Douglas did his thing. They didn't really grab any former Packer players or OBJ or any of those guys that were on the list last season. But I think this one would just make sense for both sides. Then your tackle depth chart would be very deep. You're talking 3 really good veterans, if healthy, Smith, Moses, and then Bakhtiari. And then you got Olu Fashanu. And I do think Fashanu would be over him in the depth chart. So you're digging deep. If your 2 tackles get hurt, you have Bakhtiari to come in. I mean, as the 4th option. That just screams depth. And that's something the Jets have not had in a very long time. Their 2015 offensive line, probably the best since, obviously, the 2009-2010 back-to-back AFC championship teams. That offensive line was loaded. You got 3 Hall of Famers with Faneca, DeBrickashaw, and Mangold. Well, future Hall of Famers. Faneca is a Hall of Famer, but, it was just absolutely loaded. We're talking really good depth here, and you could say age, whatever, but the role he'll be in, his age won't really be a factor. So I just wanted to jump in, tell you that I think the Jets should sign Bakhtiari, and I think they're going to. I think it's just a matter of time now. I think all the signs show that he's going to be a New York Jet. I would actually be pretty surprised if he goes elsewhere. It just makes sense. He's in the end of his career. He's kind of finally healthy again. He'll be put in a role to really just help him physically and be able to last a season. Of course, it would be a different role because he's used to being the main guy and starting. But unfortunately, he's not at that point of his career anymore. Who knows? He can come in and ball out if he had to come in, if there was an injury, and really prove himself that, hey, maybe he still has a little left in the tank. His knee looks a lot better. That is definitely a scenario that could happen. But this is the best choice for him and a great move for the Jets because he's not going to start no matter what team wants him. But the role that he'll have in New York, as that depth piece, as that leader, as that voice in this locker room, as a great personality in New York would be very unique to him, especially where he is at this point in his career. So we'll see. We'll definitely continue to follow that. I feel like that was video worthy of just seeing that there were updates on his injury. He's been a name all offseason. Now it's the time that it finally makes sense, especially what the Jets have done in regards to really improving that offensive line. As always, Joe Scurto here. Subscribe to the channel if you've not already. Follow me on Instagram and on X at Turn Up the Jets, all one word. And like the video if you've actually liked it. We'll continue to make videos as OTAs is coming. Every day is football season. Until next time, See ya.
Jets, I hear them say it now.
Jet, white, green.